Jody Porteous here from Intentional Money Management, and tonight I'm coming to you from a hotel room. So really cool. I've got some awesome background. So they're black cockatoos in the background, and gorgeous colours. So beautiful yellow drapes, curtains, whatever you call them, just lighting up my life. So today's live feed is all about that what if moment. So have you ever experienced a time where you've had an oh shit moment, where life just drops a bomb on you and you've got no idea what to do, you don't know how to react, your body goes into adrenaline mode and you start making decisions based on panic and fear rather than have a plan that's already set up for you that you can just roll with? For us, last year in May, we got told we were moving to Perth from Karapa, and that was one of those bomb moments. It came out of the blue, we weren't expecting it, and having a business that I owned in Karapa, it wasn't something that was an easy decision or anything easy for us to get used to. We'd lived our life in Karapa for nearly 20 years, and for us, it was all a big shock that we were told we were relocating for work purposes, for my husband's work. And what that meant was, yes, we had a bit of time. We had 6 months lead time, but it was still a big shock. And it was still a huge adjustment we had to make mentally to get to the point where we were happy to move. Now, absolutely loving it, which is great. So what I wanted to talk about tonight was, what about those what if moments for yourself? And there's some that are reasonably easy to think about. So a car accident, hopefully you've got car insurance and the car insurance will pay for a new car. Now, also what may happen in a car accident is you might get injured, or your passengers might get injured, or heaven forbid somebody dies. What happens then? Now, death is really, really tricky and people don't like thinking about death at all, but it's something that happens to all of us. It really does. Every single one of us dies. So at some stage, we're going to have our ducks in a row. We're going to have plans in place, be that a will or instructions to others so that they know what to do with your stuff, know what to do with your assets, your money, the things that you want to leave to other people, and the things that you want to give away after you pass away. So going back to the car accident, if you've got your car insurance and nobody gets injured, then hopefully that's a pretty easy thing to get a new car. So that what if moment, what if the insurance company can't find you a new car? Do you have another car that you can borrow? Do you hire a car? Do you get lifts off friends? All of those things can either be built into your policy or you can figure them out before it happens. Now, don't think that making a plan will actually jinx you. It doesn't. Some people might think it does, but it doesn't. So come up with, if I bought my vehicle or drive my vehicle around and I have a car accident, this is what's going to happen. And make sure that it's clear for yourself so that if it does happen, instead of going into panic mode and really taking a lot of time and energy to make decisions about what that next step is, then what you can do is come back to that plan. Now, you don't have to have it written down, you don't have to have it typed up and filed in your glove box of your car so that if something happens, you know, you can pull it out and read it. It'll come to you when it's ready. But if thinking about it and coming up with a plan that suits you now. And just because it suits you now doesn't mean it's going to suit you if and when you have a car accident. But coming up with a plan makes it easier for you to make a decision later on. Less stress, more options. Unfortunately, people don't get 6 months to make a decision like I did, to have to move to Perth. With a car accident, you've got less than hours almost to have to deal with that. When I was in university, I had a car accident on the way to an exam. That wasn't fun. That's not stressful at all, right? Luckily, I was going to meet a friend first, and then we were going to the exam. So it was like 2 or 3 hours before the exam started. But at that stage, we had to find somebody to call. My parents didn't live near me, so it was family, friends who would come. Actually had the people out the door from where the accident was bring me inside and give me a cup of tea. But then we had to organise the transport of the car and what to do with it and all of that sort of stuff. So not knowing at the grand old age of 18 what the hell I was doing, I relied on a whole load of other people to help me make those decisions or make those decisions for me. So it's good to step back, think about what might happen, and then prepare for it. With the case of insurances, most insurances will ask you for an excess. So we'll pay for a cost of a new $20,000 vehicle if you pay us $700. So that excess amount is something that you need to find. If you don't have that money as a buffer, you'll need to find that money in order for the insurance company to pay out. So it's a little bit of a we'll pay you, you pay us type of situation. Some policies will build that in and go, okay, we'll just pay you $19,300 instead of the $20,000. But other policies, there is a cash transfer required depending on what that claim is. So we don't want to get you in that situation where you have to scramble around. So if you do have any insurance policies, have a look at what your excess is and tuck that bit of money aside. Whether that's aside just in a straight insurance claims bank account, or whether it's something that is a part of a bigger savings amount, make sure you've got that amount available to you if you need to draw on it. Because tonight's all about what ifs, right? What if it could happen? Great thing about making plans and thinking in advance about what if might happen, or those what if moments, or those holy shit moments, is that when you're making a plan now for something that may or may not happen in the future, you've got an opportunity to think of lots of different options. So you've got a chance to brainstorm, you've got a chance to set aside funds, and you've got a chance to know what resources and what people you can call on that you might have available to you if something like this happens. So it might be, if I have a car accident and I get injured, who's going to look after my kids? It might be if I have a car accident and my leg falls off or it gets amputated or whatever. I might have to hire a different house to live in because currently I live in a house with stairs and that would be unreasonable. Or move to the bedroom that's on the main floor where I don't have to climb stairs every day. So it's what else, and all these different opportunities to go, if this worst thing did happen to me or to us or to my family, how would we deal with it? So I've got a list here of some what if moments that you may or may not want to think about. And for some of them are ones that I've had discussions with people about. or have seen happen in the communities that I've lived in. And so I want you to just, as I'm reading them out, go, yep, this is something that's on my radar or not on my radar, or something that I will seriously need to consider. So here we go. My list of what if moments now, it's not a complete list at all, but it's just a few that I've come up with. So unexpected pregnancy, not so important for single men, reasonably important for families. Redundancy, suicide of someone you know, someone who is a close friend, family members. Relocation, so that one was me. Cyclone, so cyclonic damage to your property, or just a cyclone coming. So I lived in this cyclone area for like nearly 20 years, and it was every year, make sure you've got enough food and make sure you've got all your torch batteries and you can listen to the radio with no power and all of that sort of stuff. And the biggest one for me was making sure we've had enough food for 3, 4, 5 days, because the roads are generally cut off and they can't bring more food into town. Fire. So many times I've seen fire devastating a whole house, and then the community rally behind people and help them, give them money or things that can help set them up again. Divorce. Sometimes a prenup agreement before you get married can be quite useful, and that's that what if plan, right? What if we get married and then at some stage we're going to divorce? It's something that you're happily married, you're happily engaged, and you're ready to get married. Nobody plans for divorce, but sometimes it happens. Actually, quite a lot it happens. So think about it now, while you're still happily married, or before you're happily married, and come up with a plan so that if you do get a divorce, this is what's going to happen with your money, with your kids, with your assets, everything. How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to work together in certain areas? More what if moments. Illness. So if you're sick for a couple of weeks and you don't get paid, what happens? If you get a disease or an illness that might be causing you to be sick for 3 or 5 months, what happens then? Same with an injury. So I talked before about having no leg. What would happen if you got injured? This is you or your family as well. So not just yourself, but what happens if your partner has any of this happen to them? How can you support them? What can you set up together to mitigate this? What if you get fired, or work goes into liquidation and you don't have a job anymore? What if you still have a job, but they can't afford to have you for the amount of hours that you've got? So a reduction in hours, whether that's half of the hours or a third of the hours, or even just 2 or 3 hours off. How will that impact your finances? What if your rent doubles or goes up significantly? Some of the towns that I've seen with the roller coaster of rent, where the rent goes up and then 5 or 6 years later the rent goes super low again, and so it's affordable, and then the rent goes up again. We're seeing rents go up quite a lot around most of Australia at the moment. Western Australia is really bad. There's a lot of homeless people walking around Perth at the moment, and that's really sad because they can't afford to live in their own house. We're also seeing lots of cost of living going up So groceries are so much more expensive now than what they were. How are you dealing with this? What's your way to protect yourself from being super affected by the cost of living increases? In the northern parts of Western Australia, and in fact, northern parts of the whole of Australia, insurance goes up significantly every year. Yes, you can definitely ask for a better deal, but at some stage you've gone through all of the different companies and you've asked for all of the different better deals, and it's still going to be expensive. And what if you get sick? COVID, cancer. It happens on a regular basis. There's people getting sick all of the time. Do you have enough money to help you live while you're recovering? Or is it going to cause more stress for you while you're trying to recover because you can't afford the things that you need to live? Generally, they say you need about 3 months worth of expenses or income, depending on which way you're looking at it. So 3 months worth of living expenses to cover your bills for 3 months. The reason why they say 3 months is because if you've got income protection insurance, so coverage insurance that covers you for loss of income, most of those policies will kick in. They'll start at 90 days. So 90 days being 3 months is when insurance companies think you should have 3 months worth of money to pay all your bills. Now, for some families, that's a lot of money. And where you're living paycheck to paycheck, or where you're living it up and saving some money but not a lot, 3 months looks like a lot of money for some people. If you are frugal, so you like to cut back on expenses when the time arises, then by putting aside 3 months worth of expenses, you might be able to push it through to 4 or 5 months. In which case, hopefully you've got another avenue for income to come in, whether that's going back to work in a different way, or going back to work as it was, or finding a different way of making money, whether that's through insurance payouts or whatever. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was grief. So grief is not money, but grief affects your money. So I've been touched with grief quite a few times throughout my life, and it takes time, right? It takes time to deal with grief, and by giving yourself a buffer of money and time and plans to know what you would do in situations where your head space isn't in the right space to do anything, then knowing you've got a plan can help you to really be not happy in the grief, but ride that wave of grief. And so having a support network around you, knowing who to talk to, and for me, one of the big things with this business, Intentional Money Management, is I support Beyond Blue. So every 3 months, so at the end of every quarter, so we're coming up next week to the end of March, I'll be giving another donation to Beyond Blue, because they help you go through mental health issues, they help you go through grief, and there's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in talking it out. There's no shame in knowing that there's somebody there on the other end of the phone who you can talk to, who will help you through that what if holy shit moment that actually did happen to you, So for me, it's really important that I give back to businesses like that, like Beyond Blue, who can help you deal with your grief, especially for most of the what if moments. If they actually happen, they can be quite devastating for you personally. So in some situations you have to start again, and if that's the case, then there's a lot of emotions and a lot of stuff you need to deal with. Okay, enough with the heavy. I'm going to finish it off with a big boot up your butt. So tonight is a kick up the butt reminder that you absolutely cannot live paycheck to paycheck. And some portion of your pays should be put aside. I'm shooting on you, sorry. Some portion of your pays, when they're put aside, will help you to get rid of some of the risk of that what if moment. So having an emergency fund set up, hopefully in a different bank that's from your normal banking and your normal spending, so that it just sits there accumulating a little bit of funds at a time, so that if the time comes when you need to call on that, you've got the cash available to help you live, to help you get through, to pay for an insurance excess, to pay for some bills or pay for food, to help you through the time without stressing about money on top of all of the other life things that are happening to you. So hopefully this video has hit something for you to get that big boot out. And I'd love if you'd put any comments. I haven't had any comments from the people watching, so thank you for watching. But if you do have any comments about what those what if moments are that you've had and you wanted to share an experience, I'm sure I'd love to hear what you have to say. But also how you dealt with it as well. That's another thing that comes through. So the what if theme for the month of March is the third module in the Money Matters program. So nothing that I talked about tonight is covered in the Money Matters program, but it is the theme for what we do work out. And what it is that you need to cover. So if you do have any questions about anything I've talked to tonight, please reach out, either comment below or just send me a message, and I'd be happy to help you out. Have a great night. Thank you.